Call to order this workshop for the Siloam Springs Board of Directors, October 21st, 2025. We are here to consider the recruitment firms that we sent out the RFQs for. I have asked that the directors be ready tonight to give us their top 2 or 3. If we don't, we're going to kind of score these as we go, which is what I am understanding that we need to do to make sure that we are getting everything correct as we're going through this. So I am going to go to each director and ask you to give me your top 2 picks that you have chosen. I ask you to give me number 1 first and number 2 second. So I guess we need to have a roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Rissler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Thank you. So Mindy, with that, I will come to you and ask you if you can give me your number 1 and number 2 choices.
Okay. And again, just to explain what I just passed out, this is not, the order is the same order as what we got in our book, and this is just so if I say my number 1 is this, you can say, oh, well, they were the ones that cost this much, or this is their timeline. So this is just kind of some general information. So my top pick, I would say, would be GPS, and my second would be MGT.
CPS is your first choice, is that correct? And what was your second? I'm sorry?
MGT.
Okay.
Did you say CPS or GPS?
GPS.
What's your second one? M?
MGT. As like management, abbreviated
GMP?
management.
MGT.
MGT.
Oh, MGT.
Okay.
Yeah, the fourth
Okay,
one from
gotcha.
the bottom. Okay.
Okay.
Now it's
And that's your second. Okay. All right. Ken?
Number 1 was GPS and 2 SGR.
Okay. That was your number 2. Okay. Betsy?
Was GPS and SGR.
Okay. R.
Wait, SGR.
SGR.
Sorry, SGR, okay. We've got too many initials going on here.
Yeah,
Okay. Lisa?
so mine was GPS, and are you guys calling S?
Strategic.
Yes, that's strategic is my second one.
Okay.
Which one? Strategic?
The SGR.
SGR.
And you said CPS was your first?
GPS. was
GPS was your first, okay, gotcha.
I think in the book, Janae put strategic professional solutions.
Yeah, I may have missed
I
that.
was like, wait a
Real
minute,
sorry.
all these initials.
It sounds
Yeah.
good.
Let me
Yeah.
look.
I do what I can.
Okay, that was your, okay. Reed?
First choice is GPS. Second choice is SGR.
Okay.
We didn't get
You
together.
guys are making this way too easy.
Yeah,
I can't
Yeah.
believe this.
okay. Brad?
I don't want to share without giving a reason, because I just feel like we're cutting paper here.
Well, we're going to talk about,
Okay.
yeah.
GPS. I will mix it up.
Okay,
I'm going to give you an acronym because I'm not sure how to pronounce the middle name on this one. CBN Associates, Colin, and however you want to pronounce that word, I would.
Oh, and Bainzinger.
What's that?
I'm Banzinger.
right.
So
David?
your first one was GPS as well?
Yes.
So that's 6 for GPS, number 1. And I'm going to be the wrong one. My first one was Colin Bainzinger. So number 1, my first was Colin, and my second is GPS.
Okay. So, Janae, that's going to be pretty easy for you to tally, but if you'll give us a tally real quick, we'll.
Sure. We have 13 points for GPS. We have 4 for SGR. And then we have 3 for CBNA and 1 for MGT. So our first will be GPS, our second is SGR, and our third will be CBNA.
And just for the record, I did have SGR on my list as well, so.
And I had MGT on my list as third.
I didn't have SGS, I had
Very good.
Strategic Professional Solutions, that's what I had.
Yeah.
Did you see
The wrong tab.
the CBA? Forgot you.
So with those numbers, our tally is, what's the total number, though? We were giving points. What's the total points for each one?
Yeah.
There were 13 points for GPS,
Wonder I didn't have them.
4 SGR, 3 points for CBNA, and 1 point for MGT.
Gotcha, okay. So, based upon that scoring, that would put GPS as your number one choice to consider. So I'm going to open the floor for anyone that would like to make a comment about GPS. Any questions that you have about that, comments you want to make about what went into your decision?
I'll start.
Yes, Mindy.
Well, one thing, and this is a silly little thing that I was impressed by, but they had a customized photo of City Hall in their proposal. And, I mean, that was just impressive to me. There were very positive testimonials. They had a lot of local connections. They were from Texas, so not too far away. And then their owners were past city managers, so they know what that job entails. They also had everything we asked for. And I don't know if we asked for samples, like of the search report, the recruitment brochures, questionnaires, but they provided all of that. Some did, some didn't. They did all.
Right, good. Anyone else?
I'll chime in,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor. The lead was lead consultant Frequency Arkansas. I see as former city managers, Missouri and Texas, we spoke of that as being states that use a city admin form of government. And then second, one of my requirements through AML is that they use ICMA, and I think that's a big one. I think it's important to be certified. That's why my second choice was because they had the candidate from Fort Smith in 2016. A clean timeline and a fixed fee, even though money was not a driver for me, but having said that, yeah, their record with their fixed fee is impressive.
I will just say that I noticed that too and thought that was the fact that they listed an amount of 24.5 as being their all expenses and costs. That's their all-in amount. So, David?
I noticed you didn't give your top two, Miss Judy.
Well, actually, I would have gone with what the board chose as the number one.
The thing, I mean, going through it in the order we have them in the book, GPS was the first one that I was impressed with. I did have one concern that possibly they are only two guys. And it doesn't matter if they are just two guys. They did a very professional presentation. But I usually like a firm to have more than a few employees. And so that's what concerned me, is that it was just two men living in completely different locations, so they don't have like a central office. It is impressive that they are both former city managers, and it is impressive that it is a flat fee instead of a percentage. I was impressed that the lead partner, who will be our contact, has family in the area. So he is, accustomed to Arkansas, and that is a good thing. But it did just concern me on the number of employees. I was just, in general terms, a little disappointed on us not getting some of the bigger firms to apply. I Google a lot of stuff, and Colin Benzinger was one of the very top, when you Google top recruiting firms for city managers. And, you know, Google, it knows everything. So Colin Benzinger was, I think it was the only one that was listed. But there were other big companies like Ralph Anderson that was on the list that Janae sent out to, and they didn't answer. So that was kind of disappointing. And then there were some of the proposals that just seemed a little amateurish in their, and GPS was super professional, very, very professional. That's one thing I did like about Colin Benzinger was they have several like a lot of employees. In fact, Mindy, I cannot thank enough. This spreadsheet, I'll call it, just really is helpful. Just, I mean, I had written down my favorites, but I had not really marked why I liked them, and being able to quickly look at what you sent, I was like, oh, that's the reason, that's why. And so, thank you very much for providing this for us. But yeah, in fact, you have on the second column, Colin Benzinger had 50-plus city managers, employees. So that was just one of the reasons I put them above GPS. But I thought, you know, we did have more than enough to pick good choices, more than enough. So thank you, Janae, for all your work. This was a lot of work, and we appreciate you being the point person and handling it.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Benson.
besides what everybody else said, I also like that they offer a 1-year guarantee and offer an 18-month guarantee against resignation or termination for any reason. So, which says to me they're going to work hard to make sure we've got the right person from the beginning.
I think you're right. That says a lot about their integrity and their ability and what they want to make sure that we get the best candidates. So, yeah, I agree. Lisa?
When I was reviewing them, I focused on finding the best cultural and operational fit for Siloam, not just the biggest name or, like Brad said, the price. There's no value on finding the right candidate, so.
I thought you were done, Lisa.
I am done.
I was just going to say one other thing. I did notice, and I think it's just, they include it. So not all of them, but many of them include it because it's been the fad for several years, is that several of them promoted their DEI. And I'm just not big on using DEI as a rationale for hiring. And so there were some that did, and then there were some that didn't put it at all. So that didn't disqualify them for me. It just was something I noticed.
Madam Mayor, I appreciated how they had it all laid out. For those of us, we have enough knowledge, but we're still laymen. I felt like they were able to penetrate that and speak to that need, and I appreciated how they laid it out, not as in, look at what all we've done. They laid it out as in, this is what we're able to do, and we'll do this for you. It just had a good presentation to it, very poignant.
Ken?
Well, if you're going to force me.
You knew I would.
I did. I was just waiting. And there were some big things, but most of what got my attention with them and some of the others were just little things that add up to big things. And I'm just going to repeat what everybody else has said. Yes, I was impressed that in the way this is laid out, it's, to me, is thorough, but yet it's simple to understand. One of the big things I noticed, first off, even before I read through each one, I was just thumbing through them. And their all-inclusive cost, I saw that, and I thought, well, that's good. And as I read others, you know, they're just a couple of others, I don't know. Once I saw that the fees started adding up, I just kind of passed by them at that point. Again, as everybody said, being city managers, I think has a lot to do with it as well. And David, for me, just because there's two of them, I mean, that's I can see your point, but that wasn't really a big issue for me. I was also impressed, I mean, the timeline, the way they lay that out, and then I liked all the examples at the end of the report, just to show you the breadth of what they've done. So, like I said, I don't know, it was just a lot of little things that kind of stuck out to me and impressed me with them.
Anyone else?
I'll say, Mayor.
Yes.
One of the two partners, his home city he lives in now is Gun Barrel City, Texas. I was like, I like that guy right there. The other thing regarding that flat fee that they bring up, when they talk about that, I was impressed. They say, that's all we will pay, except there's a possibility any travel costs associated with bringing the candidate here to meet with us. That's it. That's the only other, I mean, that flat $24,500 covers their background and academic verification, their consultant travel and expenses, which is unusual. Many times they will charge travel and expenses over and above, but nope, that's inclusive. So that stood out to me as almost every one of these that we reviewed were 12 to 16 weeks on the timeline for bringing something as a final negotiation. And I did also like the fact that they said, GPS, they will be happy to use our contract. They're not going to provide us and say, you must sign this contract. They'll be happy to sign the one, whatever we provide. So that says a lot about themselves. So they were head and shoulders above the rest on a lot of levels. They provided a lot of examples of what they'd done, other cities and candidates, and that was impressive too.
Gave you plenty of references so you could
Yeah.
make sure that you were getting what they were selling. Yeah, so. Yes, Lisa?
I'm going through this, looking at my notes. There is one thing I want to read. I put, they put in their RFP, that is why we structure time to spend in your community to experience its amenities, economy, people, and infrastructure. I like that they are coming here, that they're not going to talk to us on the phone, try to get a feel for who we are. They are coming here to experience our culture so that they can match our culture. So I like.
Absolutely.
Mayor?
Yes,
So
Brad?
what is our culture that they're gonna match?
I don't know.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
Well, we're gonna see what they tell us our culture is after they visit. How about that?
Might charge extra for that, I don't know.
But I like that too, that they're gonna show up instead of trying to pigeonhole us by phone conversation, which some consultants do that. They only make it over the phone.
That gives you an opportunity to really see them, get a feel for who they really are and how they're going to represent us. You know, I'm always in favor of face-to-face whenever it's possible, especially whenever you're making a decision like this, so.
The only thing I noticed on both of the partners' resumes, they did not list the cities they had worked for, which I would have liked to have known just out of curiosity. So that'll be something to ask when they come
Something you
up.
can
We'll
ask.
ask 'em.
Yeah,
To
we'll
answer
ask
Brad,
about
though, to answer Brad, we are still, we're a growing city, but we still have that home, small community feel. And I think that we are a growing city and it needs to be, we need somebody that's going to represent that and still keep our.
And I have had other people tell me that have visited Siloam, and they said, we really like Siloam because you're growing and there's a lot going on, but we still have that small town feel, that hometown feel that we have still maintained that. And I think that that's important to a lot of people. Hopefully we can continue to do that. It gets harder as we grow larger, but yeah. I think that's in the heart of our leadership, which makes a difference, so.
Madam Mayor, I just remind that if we're a Mayberry, remember Barney Five lived in a flop house. So
Glad the police
it's called
department's not
mixed-
here,
it's
if you're
called
gonna
mixed-
use that as an example.
He lived in density. He lived in density.
He
And we all love
absolutely
Barney,
did.
but he never got married, and isn't it strange?
They had him get married in a sequel movie.
There we go.
It was a made-for-TV sequel
But I
movie.
agree. At the, when I went to the housing summit, I was at a table with a gentleman from Bentonville. He's on the board. He's also a developer. And their observation of Siloam with the folks over there are simply, we could use them as a template of some of the things they did and the learning curve as we grow and develop it, and to continue what we have without taking that away. And so we're on the radar out there. I will be impressed when we get down to candidates. And we had one, that, you know, when you're doing the one-on-one interview and they're actually showing up, but they showed up days in advance to check out your community instead of flying in X and A to do a drop flyby and drop back out. So it'll be interesting to, you know, see folks we get and how much time they want to spend looking. And it's okay to take good city administrators away from good cities. They just want to live in NWA. And I see the lifespan of a city administrator is longer than 2 years, probably less than 8 years. But it's, I don't know, it's, I don't know what the average is. At one point, it was 3 to 5, 5 to something. So we need to just keep that in mind, is that person coming in, this may be the catalyst for them moving forward in the area, which is good. So we'll get somebody young.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Mindy?
David wanted to know where they were city managers, and so I got LinkedIn. I didn't find Chris Lowe, but Brett Bowers was 3 years as city manager in Gun Barrel, 6 years in Holton, Texas, and 2 years as assistant city manager in Smithville, Missouri.
I gotta apologize, Mindy, on this report. I thought that Colin Benzinger said they had 50 employees. No, that's how many city managers they've placed.
Right.
I got mixed,
Yeah, no,
mistaken
that's how many
that.
they've placed.
And that does concern me with GPS. We love them and everything, but they've only done 10. They've only placed 10. And that just means they're a small company, but they're also hungry. And I think that says a lot for, as impressive as their proposal was, that they're gonna work for the money. They're gonna do what they want because they would love to have Siloam Springs as a feather in their cap on their future resume. And I agree with Brad, there's nothing wrong with stealing a good manager from a good city. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Same as companies, there's nothing wrong with it. That's just the way it works.
That's called quality over quantity, David.
There you go.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Betsy?
I did, because I love to use AI, so after I made my decisions, I asked AI to compare and for more information, and GPS really does seem like a good fit for us. It says it's best suited for the city that prioritizes a deep personal connection with the consultant and wants to avoid a standardized national search. And they just do a really good job fitting managers with smaller city dynamics. So, I mean, everything sounded really good, so,
Like what we were looking for, doesn't it?
yeah.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David?
I'd like to change my rating. I wanna make GPS my number one. It's easy. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm joking. But it is good to know that the ones that we all seem to like was at least number one or number two. I mean, that's, you can look at the number. So that's the question. If, as you were saying, Janae, what the attorney said, if we can't make a contract work with GPS, then we go to the next one,
We'll go to our next
SGR.
one.
But I would imagine that GPS is gonna, just from their proposal, and they seem eager to, I mean, especially, they say they'll sign whatever contract we provide, so.
Correct. Yes,
Madam Mayor?
Betsy.
So what's our next step?
Well, that's a really good question. So, Chris, you're kind of our expert in this area as far as, I know I had sent an email to Janae, and we talked about, do we need a resolution at this point? Or, how do we move forward with letting them know that we've chosen them for?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I believe that the process, since the board is doing a scoring system, the top score would be the one that the board could authorize off of a simple vote, authorize the city administrator to move forward with negotiations. If negotiations were to fail with the first choice, she would move to the second choice after notifying the board.
Perfect, okay.
I believe a simple majority vote on
Majority
that
vote.
would be sufficient.
All
But
right.
we don't need a resolution in the board meeting.
I believe that the resolution would come after selection of the contract and negotiations were successful, then a resolution would come back to the board authorizing the mayor's signature.
Okay.
Okay, perfect, all right. So, since we have had our conversation, I believe, unless someone else has something else they would like to,
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
I'm
Mindy.
not suggesting that we do, but should we talk about SGR in case? Do we need to give our reasons for that, just in case?
you certainly may, if you'd like, just in case,
I mean,
because they
that's-
are your second
That's the
choice.
second one. It wasn't my second, but it was the majority.
In scoring, it was the
second.
majority, that's correct.
So-
So, yes, I mean, absolutely, that way if we,
It's on record.
it's on record that we have, whatever your vote is, if you vote to go ahead with GPS as your number one choice and authorize Christina to negotiate with them, we can also make that a part of your motion that, that she has the authority to go ahead and move on to SGR, if that is unsuccessful. So, I mean, I think you can do that all in one vote? Yes, okay, so, yes. So, any comments about SGR? Questions, comments? Go ahead,
I'll
yeah.
just read the notes I had.
Absolutely.
One of the notes going through, because I wrote all over this book.
Right.
A lot of similar sized cities and culture fits. And when I looked up this Marcia Reed, the senior vice president, I was very impressed with her background, with her knowledge, and so she helped place them up higher. And I also liked the 12 weeks. I circled that and said, yeah, not all of them had 12 weeks, but they had a specific timeline. And so those are the top three things that impressed me with that company.
Just gonna look here. It's got a not to exceed of $29,419, so they do have a specific amount that they've given that is not to exceed, so at least you do have that to go by. You know that you've got an amount that you're going to stay within that contract amount. So that's, I think, something to consider too, whenever you're, although, like you say, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best company, not the best company, but at least you know up front what they're talking about as far as dollars and cents, so,
Madam Mayor?
yes.
One question I had about them, on their list of city managers, administrators hired, it was a really long list. 28 of the cities were, or the city titles were bolded and the others weren't, but I didn't see an explanation of the bold versus not bold, so I'm assuming it was a long list of searches and maybe the bolded ones were the successful searches. I was unclear about that. Anybody else know?
I don't know, it's not based off population because you have a variance in population from like 12,000 to 170,000. I was familiar with a lot of these cities. Do I?
Yeah, but why were some bolded and some aren't?
And Well, if you look at the ones that say in progress, some of them are bold and others aren't. So those wouldn't necessarily mean they've already been placed if they're in progress.
Are those the ones this project manager specifically worked on, maybe?
Reed, you had,
I don't see a specific note to it, but I'm wondering if the ones that are emboldened are still there versus the others may have moved on.
Oh, that's another.
Well, since we're not immediately going to be negotiating with them, maybe Janae can reach out and just find out what, and I don't know if you say you're in the running, or if you just say, we're still deciding, but it is a question that needs to be answered.
that in review, she can just tell them in review of
Yeah, this was a
the qualifications
board
that we
question.
had a question
Yeah.
for them that, see if they could answer, so.
Which, that's not uncommon after the board's met, that they'll have somebody call and ask about the proposal.
Good catch, Mindy.
I just didn't have an explanation for that. And I kind of like it when I don't have to try to guess what they're telling me.
You comfortable with doing that, Janae? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can get that information, so we do have that, should we end up having to,
If we do go to them, their contract is a part of it, it's page 28.
yeah. Okay, so any other comments or questions about the SGR? So then I guess I am going to ask for a motion to authorize the city administrator to negotiate a contract with GPS for recruiting city administrator for the city, and also authorizing her to move to our second choice of SGR should negotiations fail with GPS.
Madam Mayor, do we
Yes.
want to move on to SGR with questions? Do we want that part of the motion now that we have questions for which we don't have answers?
That's
that's a question for the other
only question I think
directors.
is going to be what you had asked, right, about why they've got that. I didn't hear, was there another question that we needed from SGR?
So we're okay with not knowing the answer to that question?
I think so, because I don't, yeah.
Well, everybody made it their number two
Yeah,
choice
it's
without
their
knowing
yes,
that. It's just a
without-
question
yeah.
of, if we get to that point, we would like to know, just for a point of
And
clarification.
Christina is going to let you know, should she not be successful in the negotiations with GPS, so you will know that she is moving on to them, so that then you would have an opportunity for that question to be asked and given to you.
Will we have to vote again to, no.
I don't think so, because we're including that as part of this motion. Is that correct? Because we're authorizing her to negotiate with them if they fail with GPS?
That's correct. So
Okay.
if you authorize them to go into negotiations with the second, there is still an additional catch on that, which is the resolution that would come back to the board authorizing the contract.
Sure. So we're going to do that, whichever one that it ends up that we go with. We'll still have that. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. And
Chris,
David, did you have a?
Are we okay having a motion in a workshop?
I believe since this is a public meeting and since it's on topics, the provided purpose of this meeting was statement of qualifications, city administrator recruitment firm. I believe that we can make a motion as long as it stays on topic with the agenda item at play.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved by unanimous vote. Thank you all very much for your input and for participating in the conversation. And with that, this workshop is adjourned. Call to order the Siloam Springs Board of Directors meeting for October 21st, 2025. Roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Burns,
Here.
Wiles,
Here.
Hunt,
Here.
Rissler,
Here.
Allen,
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, if you will please stand with me as Director Blair leads us in prayer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again, or thank you for this day. Thank you for all our many blessings. Thank you for this time to gather together to make decisions and discuss what is best for our city. And I ask that you guide us in each and every decision we make here and day in and day out, and how we help the citizens and how we grow our city. Thank you for all our many blessings, and I ask that everything we do for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask anyone that has an electronic device, please silence that or turn it off, whatever works best for you. We do not have interruptions during our meeting and while others are speaking, so thank you very much for that. Next is our public input time, and before I open the floor, I would like to very quickly say thank you to everyone for your cards and calls and prayers during this time that I have been out on medical leave. I appreciate that very much. I believe that there is power in prayer, and I believe that God has been with me through all of this. As my results have come back, it's been nothing but positive. So thank you for all of that. And with that, I will open the floor to anyone that would like to make a comment or question to this board concerning an item that is not on our regular agenda. There is no one, so I will ask if there is anyone here that would like to come to the podium and make a comment or have a question on an item that is on our consent agenda. There is no one, so we will move into our first item, which is a presentation. I believe that our 4-H group is here. Amanda is yes. I believe you are their leader, is that correct? Okay. And you all are going to talk a little bit about your experience at the Benton County Fair, is that correct? And representing Siloam. And we very much appreciate that, that you all are going and the kids are representing their town. And I think maybe you all have won some awards. So if you would like to come to the podium, that would be great.
4-H is all about the kids leading it, so we're going to actually have them up here to talk. Our president tonight, Gloria Bohach, is here to start us off.
So, yeah, Corey, if you'll come up to the microphone,
Yes.
because we do want to get this recorded, so thank you.
Yes. So our 4-H club is made up of 12 families. We have 25 members in all. And we are a community 4-H club where the youth meet to get involved with their peers and learn new skills. So 4-H offers a wide variety of hands-on, learn-by-doing opportunities for youth ages 5 to 19. So at the Benton County Fair, we had, I think, 19 4-H members, and we had 72 blue ribbons, 30 red ribbons, 17 white, 4 reserve champions, 1 grand champion, 3 best of shows, and 1 best of barn.
And you can pull that mic down to you. There you go.
The Bohach family has 4 kids in it, and we got 1 best of show, 31 blue ribbons, 11 red ribbons, 4 white ribbons, reserve champion and senior division for the pullet show, 2 blue ribbons in the pullet show, one red ribbon in the pullet show.
Aubrey Broche got first place in the talent show. Sorry. Aubrey Broche got first place in the talent show. She got a blue ribbon for her salsa and a participation award in the pullet show. And then Emery Broche got first in her class for pasture to plate. And the field. Okay.
The Fields family, who has 5 kids, has 5 kids. The oldest, whose name is Addison, shows rabbits. She got 1 reserve champion, 1 grand champion, 1 best in show, and 1 best in barn. Altogether, the family got 28 blue ribbons, 10 ribbons, 3 white ribbons, 1 white ribbon in the pullet show, and 1 participation award in the pullet show.
And then the Granger family has 2 kids. They got 1 best of show photography, and she's moving on to state, 2 blue ribbons, 3 red ribbons, and 2 white ribbons.
You get to do all the talking.
And Schaefer Grimes got blue ribbon, a red ribbon, excuse me, and a white ribbon. And then Hayden's not here, so he got reserve champion for his Charolais heifer and a reserve champion in the ring pasture to plate steer. Okay. The Jones family has 3 kids. They got 4 red ribbons and 6 white ribbons. Oren?
And I got 3 blue ribbons and 1 blue ribbon in the pullet show.
And some of our 4-H kids have brought their favorite items to show you.
Great. If they would like to step around in front of the podium so that the board can see that, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, good job, guys. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah, let us get pictures. Hold on while everyone gets a picture here. All right. So, Amanda, anything else that you would like to add to that?
Did you say when we meet? We meet the second Monday of every month. It's usually at Covenant Church.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you all, and congratulations, all of you. Keep on hanging in there and representing Siloam Springs. Thank you for that very much.
thank you for
Give them
having
another
us.
round of applause.
Mayor, do you know what the 4-H's stand for?
Well, can you tell us,
I bet
David?
they do.
Oh, I bet they do. Yeah, come on, kids. Tell us what 4-H stands for. Good.
The 4 H's stand for the equal training of the head, heart, hands, and health.
Perfect.
Hands, heart, hands,
Head,
Head,
heart, hands, and health.
health. Thank you.
Something we all need to.
I knew it was, started with an H. I knew that.
Oh, shoot. Thank you all for coming. And it's going to be a hard act to follow after that. So we will move into our consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes for October 7, 2025. B, budget amendment, Public Works, Water Services, Sewer Master Plan, $250,000. C, contract addendum, Oklahoma Secretary and Environment Department, Siloam Springs Water Resource Company property, land sale, correction of legal descriptions. That does conclude the consent agenda. Directors, is there anything that you would like to have removed for separate consideration?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
Could I have item B, please?
Yes, sir? Anything else? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with item B removed?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Director Burns, budget amendment for the Public Works.
Yeah, I spoke with Josh earlier on some items, and we'll catch up, but, so my concern is, if we remember the Basin 5 project, and I'm gonna read out loud, during the most recent rain event, we estimate that approximately 15 million gallons of wastewater overflowed into Sager Creek. So let that sink into your head for 1 minute, what that number is. I sent pictures in that showed on Washington Street, after our rain events, a sanitary sewer that had overflown multiple times. It's our lowest lying area in town. We've had problems with that in the past, but Josh has reassured me that by addressing Basin 7 and 8, we will address that issue. And he's nodding his head. I was just trying to get him up here in his new position, but I just want folks to realize, Northwest Arkansas has a wastewater issue, and we have concerns at our plant, but there's this ongoing effort. What I'm concerned about is, unfortunately, little corrective work has been completed to resolve the significant issues identified during those efforts, which were early on. And so the more proactive we can be, but when we dump wastewater directly into Sager Creek, we are discharging that directly into Oklahoma. And we're just hoping that Mother Nature is the philosophy of dilution is the solution. And so I'm assuming this might be just the beginning, but I just want to make that public statement of why this work's being done and why in the future we are going to be more proactive addressing these things. And I think you're going to start seeing that throughout the budget. But this will be it's not a lifelong problem, but it's gonna be with us 5 to 10 years until it's completely resolved. So there's no immediate fixes. Thank you.
Anyone else? And Josh, I don't want to really put you on the spot, but could you come up and maybe kind of explain what Director Burns has stated about what you're fixing is going to help another problem?
Yeah. Josh Napier, Public Works Director. Thank you, Brad, for all that.
You're welcome.
So yeah, we have identified through previous studies that Basin 8 specifically and 7, but mainly 8, takes on about 30 to 40% of all the ionized. So the ionized is the water that basically gets in there that's not supposed to. In Basin 8 specifically, there was, Danny might have to help me, roughly 10 or so manholes that were actually in the creek, low-lying areas. So when we get, flood events, massive rains, water is submerging the manholes completely in a lot of areas in Basin 8. So part of the work we'll do here is lifting those manholes, according to the specs that we've engineered. Lifting those manholes out of the floodplain, and then there's probably 30-ish. We're still counting numbers and vertical footage and all that stuff, but right now I think we got about 30 manholes that will go in and rehab and line and get rid of some of the inflow and infiltration in those manholes as well. So there's other things that could happen, just depending on where all the finances come in. One thing we talked about a little bit today was even some flow monitoring in our basins, so that when we do have an issue at the wastewater plant, kind of a random out of nowhere, surge of something, that we have a better way of identifying where that's coming from, so that we're not just kind of, well, that really was awful. We, trying to get the instrumentation out there to get the data we need to address the problems. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
All of that makes sense. Lifting manholes out of floodplains? Yeah.
More questions?
More questions, anyone? Yes, David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will just reiterate in Josh's memo, he pointed out that for the past 5 to 7 years, we have had a company performing the study and smoke testing, and we've found the problem for the inflow, but nothing's been done to fix it. Not a lot has been done to fix it. And so if you think about 7 years ago, we can find problems, but we don't always fix them. And that's not just here, it's on other things as well. But I believe you got a new sheriff in town. He's gonna find how to fix the problems that we've experienced for a while. And I think Josh is already doing a great job, and I appreciate him wanting to find the problem, but then how to find the solution to it. So thank you, Josh, for coming
you
up
for
with
that.
this,
Just to put
a good Band-Aid, I mean, not a Band-Aid, but a fix to this right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to put it in perspective, in the last study in 2018, that study calls out over 500,000, or I'm sorry, no, half a million linear feet of collection system line and about 2,000 manholes, plus or minus 100. So, I mean, you heard me say 30. Obviously, we got a long way to go, but we're working on it. And the staff, Danny and Tony, kudos to them as well. We're all excited to get something done, so.
I wasn't trying to put any pressure on. Well, yeah, I was trying.
Yeah, well, you should.
Well, we can't fix it if we don't start, right? So, thank you very much. Any other questions?
I think it's always just good to explain to the public
Absolutely.
where we're changing some expenditures to fix an immediate. And staff is finding those, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
So with that, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for Public Works in the amount of $250,000?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is approved. With that, we will move to our staff reports. This is the third quarter 2025 nonprofit reports. And directors, you should have received the reports that were given to the administrator. Hopefully you've had time to review those. So as I call each one of these, if you all would like to come to the podium, if the directors have questions for you, you can answer them. And if you have an upcoming event that perhaps you did not get listed, you can make us aware of that. So Mary, looks like you're up first.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Directors. It was always good to have an opportunity to come here and share with you what you all are supporting in our community. There are several different things in here, but a couple probably things that we would like to focus on this year is kind of the idea of putting some real solid goals out there, things that we need to do. I think one of the things is that we've improved. Our attendance has been up a little bit. I know that Don spends an awful lot of time with people, sharing with them the history of different things. And some people come in and they ask about the history of their home, or they had ancestors that lived here at one time and they would like to know more about that. And so there are times he spends 2 to 3 hours sometimes with some folks just to find out that kind of information. And while that's really, really important to us, we're also finding that, you know, sometimes kids come in and we're really not a kid-friendly museum at this point. And so I would like maybe us to focus on something that we can really begin to get kids involved with hands-on displays and maybe some video type things that they could look at and enjoy with. So that's one of the things I think we're going to try to focus on in the future. Excuse me. So I marked that up like it's in about 3 different places, I think, in my report. So I really did focus on that quite a bit. And then one of the other things we do have, I know this is about what we've done, but I think the more we kind of document what we've done, we find out some of the things that maybe we need to tweak a little bit. So I feel like it's important to share that with you too. And one is our collection. We have a huge database that is kind of clumsy to use, but we have 2 storage units plus our basement that is full of items from the museum. So when we moved back in, kind of like when you move into a new house or a new apartment, things just don't all fit like they did in the old place. So we are still kind of learning about our facility. It's a great facility. People are so happy with it when they come in and visit. So we did a wonderful job with that, but just beginning to find out how to deal with some of the things that we've had for a long time and going through the process of making sure they are real, legitimate items that have to do with the Siloam Springs history or the people that have contributed here. The last thing I wanted to mention is that Simmons has been a great supporter of us, as they have for this whole community in so many different ways. And one of the things they've done is they had their 75th anniversary presentation not too long ago. So for 75 years, the Simmons family has stayed in our community and contributed quite a bit. Recently, history professor Preston Jones put together a book called The Uncommon Common Man, and I kind of did include a little bit of that in my report, but I thought it'd be fun to share for the community. The Uncommon Common Man tells the story of M.H. Bill Simmons, co-founder of Plus Poultry, which became Simmons Foods, one of the United States' leading producers of chicken and pet food. A continual innovator and industry leader, Simmons made lasting contributions to the food revolution in the 1950s and early 60s. He was a key promoter of U.S. poultry exports. He played a leading role in a trade dispute, remembered as the Chicken War, if anybody's ever read about that, between the United States and the European Economic Union, which was quite a big deal. His story sheds light on the development of the American poultry industry and on the histories of Northwest Arkansas and the city of Siloam Springs. And so the museum has some copies of that book, and we'd like to share that with folks if they'd like to come by and purchase that. And then the next biggest thing we have is our event that's coming up November 15th. It is a sock hop theme event around the book that Maggie Aldrich Smith presented to our community at the bicentennial in 1976. So we are going to celebrate her with a special Keeper of the History Award at that event. And there will be a lot of fun things happening, and then we'll have a little ceremony to recognize her and get ourselves ready for 250 years of America next year. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, and appreciate what you've done with the museum. Your leadership, it's made a big difference, so thank you for that. And Abby, Main Street.
Good evening. Let's see here. In the third quarter, we hosted the third annual NWA Margarita Fest and finished off the 2025 Fourth Friday season with our counterparts at the city and the chamber. We hosted a fun girls' night out in September and started our fourth quarter off with a very, in my humble opinion, successful homegrown festival. We had a blast. Our farmers market also continued to grow and flourish throughout the end of their outdoor season, which ended on October 11th. I did want to mention that we are excited to announce the 2025 Gloria McEnroe Building Improvement Grant recipients, and they were /are the Park House Kitchen and Bar, Two Gals Junk, and Square Six. Just kind of as a reminder or for reference, we offer this grant annually to property owners who wish to make exterior and some interior improvements to their buildings. This is a grant that we are able to provide, and it's the funding basically comes from Main Street Arkansas and historic preservation allocation that we get annually. This year, this is the first year that the application review committee increased the cap amount in the awards possible from $1,500 previously was the max to $5,000. The panel of volunteers, which consists of 8 community volunteers and Main Street board members, made this change in hopes that recipients would have the resources to take on large projects that would make a greater impact on their individual businesses and the health of downtown at large. This year's cycle projects are still ongoing, and we'll hopefully have updates on those in the coming months. I believe all three of those recipients, a lot of their needs were exterior-based from a lot of hail damage that happened throughout the summer. So it was definitely nice to be able to provide that higher number to those recipients. Let's see. That's definitely the biggest win from our third quarter. Coming up for the fourth quarter, we have Downtown Trick or Treat happening next Friday, October 31st, and then Holiday Open House and Small Business Saturday in November. And we're just, still trying to take it a day at a time and see what we've fallen behind on, or, playing catch up on, or just, getting all the things in order. So if you guys have questions at all, just don't hesitate to email me and let me know. And I'm happy to answer any questions now if you need anything.
Directors? Thank you, Abby. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Appreciate what you're doing there now, your leadership. And last but not least,
Well, I am not Randy, but Randy is in Little Rock at Chamber President Boot Camp this week. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on the report that you received. This is about a month of Arthur's work, about a month of mine in the middle, and then a month of Randy starting. So it has been a busy quarter. We've been doing some work with the AEDC, particularly on the Cobb building downtown, trying to make sure that that's on the AEDC's radar to use that as a possible location for businesses that are wanting to come into Arkansas. Also working with RDOT on several of the traffic issues that we are experiencing here in town. I think it was Randy's second day that we had an RFI proposal that came in, threw together a presentation, met out at the airport with several of our city staff friends. Have not heard, I don't think, one way or the other on that, but definitely hit the ground running. As far as tourism, which also goes into economic development, Randy toughed it out one day on a float trip through the Illinois River and met with RDOT, IRWP, Arkansas Game and Fish, just looking at tourism, but also how do we continue to utilize this beautiful asset that we have in our community and keep it looking nice. We also had a grant giveaway or contest, I guess, this quarter as well. We gave out $5,000 to 3 local businesses. Lehman Geophysical, which if you are not familiar with them, you should check them out. They're doing amazing things. Olive and Opal, and then also Outlier AI. And we've had several meetings with potential retailers. I know everybody's wanting retail. Retailers want to be here as well. We're just trying to find the right locations and the right fit, as well as other restaurants. And we just are not at liberty to discuss all of those details yet, but those are happening behind the scenes. We see the comments on What's Up Siloam. We know what the community wants. We're just working on getting the right fit. Abby mentioned Fourth Fridays. Love that event. Excited to partner with the city on those. And for us coming up this quarter, we have Pool of Siloam coming back this year. Our plan is to do that at Memorial Park again this year. It worked out well. No one's having to climb in the creek or scale a hill. So we'll do that at Memorial Park again. And then we have our Elevate Her Business Women's Conference on December the 12th. That will be at JBU from 10 to 2. Speakers for that, we haven't technically announced yet, but we have Becky Schaefer from Saving Grace NWA who's going to speak with us. Lieutenant Bartley from the police department is going to speak with us, as well as Rosemary Flayton from Center for Healthy Relationships. And then we're going to have a panel of some female trailblazers who have kind of set the course for Siloam Springs women in the workplace that will be up on stage with us as well. So December 12th. And I think that's it.
very good. Directors, any questions? No? Lindsay, thank you very much, and thank you for what you're doing also. I know that you had a period of time there that it was pretty much fell on you to take care of everything, so thank you for that. So with that, July financials, Christina has given those to you.
That's correct. They were included in the agenda. If you have any questions, please contact me or Kim Williams. Thank you.
Very good. So moving on, we will move into our contracts and approvals. We have Purchase, Public Works, Water Services Division, National Auto Fleet Group for a 2026 Crane Body Ford Extended Cab for $187,948.36. And Danny, looks like you're going to talk to us about that.
Yes, Danny Furring, Water Wastewater Superintendent, City of Siloam Springs. Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen's board, this proposal is to purchase a replacement truck. We've actually retired the other truck that we're needing to replace. And we looked at in 2024 to purchase a truck as well. Wasn't able to get any for the money we had at that time. Now, the truck that we've had priced out to meet our needs is a little bit over our budget of what we originally had. But we're looking at moving some money around in the budget to be able to cover those added cost. With that, is there any questions I can?
Directors? Comments, questions? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the purchase for the Public Works Department? There is not. Danny, thank you very much. So do I have a motion to approve the purchase for Public Works Water Services for the 2026 Crane Body Ford Extended Cab, $187,948.36?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is lease agreements with OzarksGo LLC, Fiber Hut and Construction Stating Site. Phil?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Phil Stokes, Electric Director. OzarksGo is wanting to bring fiber into the city, and they're needing a place to terminate their fibers, and they've chosen the spot next to our Lincoln substation. It'll be a 15-year lease. They're asking, in lieu of making payments for the lease, that they would provide us with a gigabyte of fiber and 100 megabytes of fiber. And also, they're needing a place to have a laydown yard for the construction of this fiber. And they would like to use the area on the North Water Tower by the Highco Street for that. And they're going to pay us $250 a month for that lease. And so I'm available for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Phil. Directors? David?
Mayor, thank you. Phil, have they indicated if they may be in the future coming in to provide high-speed internet competing with Brightspeed or Cox?
Yes, sir.
Because years ago, people that had it in Fayetteville swore by it, and I think they also provide it in Oklahoma. So I'm just curious. I know they had been interested years ago, but I didn't know if they still were, so.
Yes.
Well, that's a good little footstep for them to take with us. Good, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this lease agreement with OzarksGo? There is not, so do I have a motion to approve the lease agreement with OzarksGo LLC for the Fiber Hut and construction site?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Phil. Next is Ordinance 25-34, second reading, amending city municipal codes, the adoption of Chapter 35, Development, Signs, and Zoning. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Ben Rhodes, City Senior Planner. So yes, this is the second reading for the update for Chapter 35, the Unified Development Code. Just as a reminder, this is repealing several of the development chapters within the current code book and combining them into one chapter with the 9 titles, as you see listed there, in addition to addressing many of the goals that we had set in the comprehensive plan back in for the 2040 plan. Here again is the schedule on the left-hand side of what we've gone through, the process starting from February to now. Just a note, and this was put in the memo, the updated memo, as well as at your places. There was a Scrivener's error discovered in one of the tables, and that's been corrected. It's in the ordinance as you have presented now. But due to that, we are requesting that this be returned to its first reading, but making a motion for the first and second reading to be combined, if at all possible, so that by the time it gets to the next meeting, it would still stay on the third reading as originally scheduled, which would be set for November 4th. But with that, we are available for any of your questions, and thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. Directors? David?
So, Ben, you're saying because of the Scrivener's error, we got to go back to the first. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That was the understanding, that because there was a change, to go back to first reading. Yep.
Anyone else? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-34? There is not, so I will ask then for a motion to place ordinance 25-34 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only as amended and...
Madam Mayor, first and second.
Oh, I'm sorry. We want to do the first and second, okay?
Because it's already been presented as changed, so yeah, first and second reading.
So do I have a motion for the first and second reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Ben. Next is ordinance 25-35, first reading, amending section
Mayor?
2-222. I think it's, would you like to read?
I would like to, thank you.
I told you I wasn't sure I should be here.
That's okay. Ordinance number 25-34, an ordinance adopting Chapter 35, Development, Signs, and Zoning, and repealing Chapters 53, 54, 78, 81, 87, and 102 of the City Municipal Code.
Thank you. Now we will move to ordinance 25-35, first reading, amending section 2-222 of the City Municipal Code, allowing bidding of reverse internet auction. Josh, no. Tony is going to do this. Tony.
Madam Mayor, glad you're feeling better. Board of Directors,
Thank
it's
you.
a pleasure being before you tonight to present this. We have an amendment for Section 2-222 of the City Municipal Code, allowing bidding by reverse internet auction. Background, the Water and Wastewater Divisions each year conduct chemical bidding, and those companies which have the lowest bid are brought before the board for approval for the upcoming fiscal year. The reverse auction services allow chemical vendors to be more competitive, and by adjusting their prices within a certain period of time to obtain city business. Staff is requesting we amend Section 2-222 of the City Municipal Code, allowing bidding by reverse internet auction. This will require us placing ordinance number 25-35 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only, and staff is available for any questions.
Thank you, Tony. Directors? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-35?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. If not, do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-35 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-35, an ordinance amending certain sections within Article 6 of Chapter 2 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code regarding purchase and sales, Division 1 expenditures.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is ordinance 25-36. First reading, extension of existing levy of the 3/8% sales and use tax. Josh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board, Josh Napier, Public Works Director. So the ordinance, attached ordinance before you is to extend the existing 3/8 sales tax, sales and special use tax for an additional 10 years, subject to voter approval. The primary revision in this ordinance before you is the split. Right now, the current tax is a 50-50 split between utilities and quality of life, and we are proposing that we change the split to an 80% utility, 20% quality of life, primarily to address some of these utility concerns that we've talked about even tonight. Over the next 10 years, that 3/8 sales tax is projected to generate approximately $19.2 million. This revised split would result in about $15.3 million available for utility and $3.84 million available for quality of life. Staff has identified approximately $60 million in capital improvement needs over the next 5 years. Some of that would be covered in depreciation and other things, but this would definitely help us to address some of these issues. So with that, staff would recommend extending the existing levy for the 3/8 sales tax and place ordinance number 25-36 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only. Staff is available for questions.
Thank you, Josh. Directors, comments or questions? Yes, David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe because this is public money, the money comes from the public through their taxes, that we need to be having a workshop to discuss this. I was against the quality of life designation when this first came up because I believe quality of life is too subjective to each individual person. And when this first was established, it basically became a slush fund to where anything that needed to be used that wasn't in the budget, then the city administrator could go access that. And there's never been a commission to decide what quality of life is. There's never been any real control over it. And I mean, we may decide that the entire tax needs to be for public works, for utility improvements. So we've also got a 5/8 sales tax that we need to be reviewing at the same time to know what it goes versus this one. So I'm going to make a motion, we table this until we have a workshop to review all of it. And so I make that motion.
So I have a motion to table on the floor. Do I have a second?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
I'm going to second that, but my second is based on, we know quality of life is an economical driver, and I know we had in-depth conversation, and I know we disagree on some of the applications that have occurred in the past. But the economical driver is also the revenue that also offsets your additional cost. And so I agree with Director Allen. We need to have a good conversation on that because it is all money. It just comes in different forms. And I think we're at a different place, and it just takes a little deeper conversation. I look forward to that if we choose to do that.
And I'd like the workshop to also include informing the board on the other sales tax we have, just for clarification and information. Not that we're deciding on it now, but just to discuss all of it at
How it's being split and where
once.
it's going.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
I just have
Mindy.
a question. Will this be, it may have said, will this be a special election, or are you trying to get it on a specific ballot?
We are trying to get it on the March ballot, and in an effort to do that, if we table this tonight and do this at a later time, we will have to declare an emergency, and we'll probably have to move forward fairly quickly.
What is our deadline for getting it on the March ballot?
I believe it has to go to them in December.
How many days? I thought it was January.
Well, maybe the very beginning of January.
Yeah.
Oh, it is December? That, I believe.
I
we
believe
looked
it's
at-
December.
I think it's January, because I just looked it up like a couple weeks ago. I think it's the 1st of January.
I can tell you, if this
we'll
is a
confirm.
special election, it's going to fail. If we push this off to a
I
special
think,
election,
yeah,
it
if
will
we
not
don't do
pass.
this right, it will fail. And I agree, we need to have conversations. And I would like to know, like, there's questions I have. How much money do we have in quality of life? And why haven't we spent it if we have that money in quality of life that was supposed to be given to the community to create the quality of life?
I can't answer why it wasn't spent, but we have about $5 million in there. We do plan on using, or with the budget that will be proposed, we'll plan on using about $700,000 of that for grant matching, for the grants that have been brought before you. But why we haven't used the other, I don't know if the original thought was perhaps to do a rec center, and they were building up funds towards that end.
Is there any way we can look back in the records and find out?
We can, but I would say that downtown parks, sidewalks, and trails were the items that were specifically listed in the ordinance for quality of life.
So it's not, it's not just that I might decide quality of life and she might decide quality of life is two totally different things. We specifically have to spend it on that because that's what's listed on the.
I would let the attorney review that because I think it also says et cetera.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so you can bring that back to us at our workshop, which we need to apparently schedule fairly quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and people are going to want to know too, when you say utilities, what does that include? Does it affect the rates that we're talking about, rate increases? Is that going to affect it, or is it just like equipment? Is it, what?
It really is for, it has always been for expansion of the system. And as Director Allen stated earlier, it used to all be for utilities. Then it was split 50-50 with quality of life. But I do believe that our rate study assumes that the tax is renewed for at least 50%.
So the rate study reflects that.
At least 50%, yes, correct.
So if
To
this
what it is
fails,
today.
if we fail to
Then we
pass
will
it-
have to put off or otherwise determine how to fund those very specific things that were discussed in the rate study.
And they're necessary things.
They are necessary things.
Workshop's going to be great.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Brad?
I just, we have a lot coming up. You're asking a workshop, we have not even touched the budget. So my concerns, when I hit staff today with some questions, was just the tip of the iceberg of, and we're trying to get a city manager. It's just piling up here. So I use a 70-30 rule, and I have 70% of the solution and 30 unknown. We make a decision and move forward. So workshops, have good discussion, move forward. Budget, good discussion, move forward. We've got, a window is closing, and time is precious, so.
And I would just for general knowledge, I do not plan to bring the budget for approval before we determine whether or not the rate study passes. Because if the rate study does not pass, then changes will need to be made to the presented budget to accommodate whatever is settled on by the board.
Do we have
Address-
anything to
Can
look
I
at?
address that, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, David?
We had the rate study put before us at the last meeting.
Correct.
Was there any mentioning that we were supposed to vote on it that night?
No. In
Okay.
fact, we're bringing the ordinances to you November 4th.
I was unaware that, I felt the board should have been provided the rate study ahead of time so that we could then ask questions. Because when he shows up and stands here and we've just gotten it, it's kind of hard to ask questions. But I think I said something to you later that if all he has done is reviewed the rates and projected at our current growth rate, that's not a rate study. I mean, in my opinion, he should have given us a scenario of half of the growth rate, 0 growth rate. We should have knowledge instead of just numbers put before us as to what he found out. So this is why I was not in favor of this company to begin with, because I don't think they give us enough information. And I still believe that we should have had the electric numbers for Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, which were not in the study. And he said he would get back to us on that. I think there's a lot of info that we need that we did not get in that study. And I wish we'd had a workshop to review that. And
There will be another presentation at the next board meeting before the ordinance comes to you guys. So you would like me to get as much information as there, or is there something specific aside from support for the presentation that they provided?
well, you've said that that study assumes the current growth rate.
That is correct.
And I think that's what a consultant's forte is supposed to be able to say, here's what you are now, but if you did this, this is what would happen. But if you didn't make your numbers, this is what would happen. And he didn't provide any of that. I mean, it's like last year, or whenever we did it last time, he just made some calls, looked online, figured out what the rates were for the other cities, and made a nice little printed presentation. And that's what they did this time too. I want scenarios, you know, because if we're in a bind, we need to be able to say, if things don't work, where are we gonna pull back?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mindy.
I think, and it's been a while, I think we were provided something like that last time we had to decide on the utility increase, which we decided not to do, but I think we were given like 3 options. If you do this, this is what it will cost, this is where we'll be. So is that kind of what you're talking about, David? I don't know that it was from the consulting company, but when it came down to it, I don't remember. I think Brad and Lisa were with us, and Reed. You don't remember? No, you weren't?
I wasn't on the board, thank you.
Reed. I thought we had something like that. Anyway, but I do have a quick question about when does the current 3/8 sales tax expire?
It expires June 30th, but you have to provide, let's just say if we
June
don't.
30th, 2026.
Right. And
Okay.
if we do not provide the updated information in April, then it will lapse. So they only do it quarterly.
So we would have to have this on the March ballot. If
you don't want it to lapse.
To David's point, a special election.
Unless we cram it all in tonight and get it on the, no.
We can't, I don't think we can get them a little bit.
I'm saying January, she mentioned January, I don't think we could even do, so.
So just so you know, Janae did look it up, and it says that the referendum from the city clerks must be received by Monday, December the 22nd.
To go on
To be on the March
yeah.
ballot. That is correct.
So that gives us 4 meetings, or 3.
We have the next 4 meetings. We'll just have to declare an emergency so that it's got to be, I think, 30 days. I mean, I think it has to be, isn't that what we discussed? That it has to be the 30 days has to have passed, or an emergency has to be declared when it is submitted.
We can do an emergency. That's not a problem.
So at this time, we've got a motion to table until, and we have a motion and a second, to table until a workshop can be planned. And Christina, what does that look like for you as far as a workshop?
It looks to me like we'll need to do a workshop at the next meeting.
Okay, so we're going to plan on doing that before the next board meeting, 5:30, because we want to make sure we have plenty of time for discussion.
Yes.
Okay. So that is what, November the 4th, is that correct?
So,
That is correct.
Yeah, so November the 4th, do you want to plan it at 5? I mean, I'm just asking you, Board, because this is going to be a discussion, a long discussion, I think, a lot of questions, a lot of.
I wondered if an hour
So
is
if we
enough
do
to- yeah.
5 o'clock, that gives us an hour and a half before the regular meeting.
And is it going to be on the agenda that night?
We can hold that one more, but again, we would have to do multiple readings in a setting and then declare an emergency. But that's doable. I mean, to give you guys more time on the front end, if that's how you would like it, or it can be included on the agenda.
So I just because I know we're in a time crunch, I think that my suggestion would be that we do this workshop at 5. Get all of your questions, be ready for that, have your questions ready, y'all discussion, and then the next board meeting, put it on, maybe for your first and second reading.
You mean the one following the workshop or the next one?
The next meeting after your workshop. That gives Christina time to take your questions.
Okay.
Get you answers, get adjustments made as you may want.
So the second November meeting.
So the second November meeting, do it 2 readings then, and then the third reading, the first meeting in December. Does that give you time or does it? Unless we do an emergency. Okay.
Right, we'll need to do an emergency.
Unless we do
That's
an
fine.
emergency. Okay.
So we could do 2 on that one and 1 on the first December meeting?
Yes, with an emergency clause.
Okay. I thought you were saying you needed them all before the end of November, but, okay,
If we declare an emergency, we'll be all
yeah,
right.
okay.
So let's vote first on the table motion, okay? So we have a first and a second to table until the November 4th meeting for a workshop. Roll call.
Claire,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved for the table. And I'm going to just ask each of you, are we good with putting it on, taking our questions and comments, putting them on the second meeting in November for 2 readings, and the first meeting in December for the third reading with an emergency? And I see that, yes, the majority says yes, so that's what we'll move toward then, Christina. So with that, we will move to Resolution 40-25, dedication of detention facility by deed, Lawless Ranch, Phase 2 and 3, 23006 Lawless Road. Brent, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Nation, Board Directors. Brent O'Neill, City Engineer, Siloam Springs. I have the pleasure of bringing to you the only resolution before you tonight, which is the dedication of the detention facility by deed for Lawless Ranch Phase 2. It does say Phase 3. This was put on as a condition for the final of also Phase 3. Staff findings, Resolution 4025, authorizing the mayor to execute documents accepting ownership of property for the subdivision detention facility at or near 23006 Lawless Road by deed. This resolution meets the requirements of the city code, subject to suggested conditions of approval. Quick background, the applicant, NWA LD LLC, requests to transfer the ownership of the property by deed for the detention facilities for Lawless Ranch Subdivision Phase 2. The proposal is situated in Lot 45, approximately 1.65 acres. Acceptance of the property by deed is subject to the following recommended conditions of approval. The applicant must file the final plat at the Benton County Circuit Clerk's office and provide 1 filed copy to the city as required. The applicant must submit to your maintenance bond as part of the recordation of the final plat. The applicant must maintain public infrastructure as outlined by ordinance and in relation to the maintenance bond referenced above until its expiration. The applicant must submit a subdivision performance bond as required by city ordinance. There's no anticipated financial impact at this time. With that, I'll
entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or questions? David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Brent, is this normal to transfer ownership to the city on detention ponds?
For residentials, it is. For commercial and industrial projects, that is retained by the owner.
And have these streets been built yet?
Yes. All of Lawless Phase 1, 2, and 3 are now constructed. They are fixing to start construction of homes on Phase 3.
The only other thing I ask is that when we get these, this is page 3, that they be able to be read. The map page
Yes,
is
it's-
completely illegible.
Yes, it is. It's poor quality image. I apologize for that.
Well, this should have been provided by the person. Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor?
Brad?
So, nothing for you, sir. I apologize in
Oh, okay.
advance. Yeah, but it was good. So I drove out there. I just looked around, and it's, in my humble opinion, it's an example. These retention ponds are example of, right now, they're dry and wasted space. I think we looked at plan development off Kenwood, where we actually integrate that with part of the neighborhood. So it's an actual, can be a multi-use area. And so Lawless Road continues to be a lesson learned area that was haunting us in 20, when it first came around, and it's some lessons learned now. They're more of an eyesore instead of an asset, and I know it's a traditional way of doing that. So I'm hoping with the Unified Development Code, low-impact practices, and some other things that we can do in 26 and 27, so that we can start utilizing those as part of the landscape of Siloam, and not these empty eyesores that, occasionally build up with water and then sit full of trash, all right? So that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brad. David?
I will just ask, Brent, does this one have a fence around it?
It does not currently, no.
I thought we had laid the rules down years ago that any detention pond in the future had to have a fence around it. The ones on Kenwood do, and I know the ones on South Hawley do. So I'm surprised that this one does not, and I thought it was a requirement.
Madam Mayor.
Do we not have that requirement?
It's not that we don't have that requirement. Madam Mayor, we have, with this detention pond, this is a built-out detention pond and a built-out subdivision. Sorry, I'm being attacked. We have, this subdivision was built out and has been built out for a while. Typically, this part of the process happens under our code requirements right after the subdivision is developed. There was a lapse in time. The reason why we're receiving this one out of our normal cycle is since this is a change of ownership from a private entity to a public entity, and it's not a part of our code at its current state. It should have happened whenever this was first built. It shouldn't be happening at this time. It was missed by previous administration, previous staff. My understanding is that the reason why we're receiving this at this point is it's kind of in limbo who was supposed to own the facility, and they ask us if we should be the owners of it. According to our code, we should have taken ownership of it at that time. I can't speak to what the code stated whenever this was originally submitted. I'm not sure of the date of the submittal of the original subdivision for this. But it would have gone over it would have met the ordinance requirements for the drainage criteria manual and ordinance at the time of submittal for the development of that part of the subdivision. The only reason why it's before the board now is this resolution has to be approved in order for the board to say, yes, we can take ownership, since it's not a part of our typical process that's allowed by code.
We don't have to take ownership.
That's correct. The board has every right to deny this.
Which then it would retain with them.
It would stay as a common property for the homeowners association and stay with their, if there are drainage easements associated with that, we would have advanced maintenance, but the typical maintenance would stay with the homeowners association. That is what we'll probably recommend in the future for future subdivisions whenever we do a drainage criteria manual update. Our current method is not a sustainable growth. When we are taking ownership of these detention ponds, we are taking full maintenance. That means we do the mowing, we do any trash pickup. Every time we take one of those, that increases our workload on our public works department. And there is a different model that I will be proposing in the future that says that they will provide us with a drainage easement, but since it's their community development, their POA or homeowner association would be responsible for the typical maintenance of that detention pond that would service their portion of the Siloam Springs. And that'll be a future conversation to be had. We're also going to look at other items in addition to fences for safety. I have a concern of that too. I have a long history in stormwater. I'd like to also review safety benches around certain types of facilities to ensure that we're going to have the safest detention and retention pond strategy in Northwest Arkansas. We're not there quite yet. We've started those early conversations with staff, but tonight we're just looking at this specific one. Kind of fell through the cracks of our process at some point in time, and the only way for it to move forward to come into compliance with the ordinance as written is for the board to approve it, but it's not a requirement. Since the ordinance has already not been followed, this doesn't correct a non-conformance. It's not in non-conforming status, it's just not owned by the city. So it's really up to the board whether or not you take ownership of this. If you do not, then it'll be maintained by the Property Owners Association or whoever the current owner is.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David?
Because we've had so many problems with this drainage and homeowner or housing addition, I don't feel we're obligated to take this. I can tell you, I have, before I got back on the board, since I've been back on the board, through several meetings, through 2 different administrators, I have said over and over in public, we need to be fencing and require fencing on every detention because of the risk of a young child falling into a pond when it's right next to the residents. It's right next to their homes. And some of these have been responsible and done so, some of these developers, but many like this have not, and they just do what little they have to do to provide what's required, a detention pond. And as Chris said, once this comes on to being owned by the city, it becomes our obligation to keep it clean, trash pickup and everything else. I'd say we'd agree to take it, but they got to put a fence first. That's the only way I would suggest we approve it. Just my
Madam
2
Mayor?
cents.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Ken?
Chris, I appreciate your explanation, and I tend to agree that I don't think this is the city's responsibility, but my question, I want to make sure I understand you correctly. This should have a fence, correct? Is that what you said?
If it's going to be based off of what was required at the time of submittal, so when they submitted the preliminary plat for this subdivision to go in, the version of the drainage criteria manual in the code that was in effect at that time, if there was a fence requirement at that time, then it should have a fence before it got its final certificate of occupancy at least, but.
Okay, so you don't know if that was the case
I'm not
sure
at this time. It's something that we could look at and come back to, or potentially bring it at the next board meeting and see what the requirements were at the time of submittal. And we also would have to, if the approval of the preliminary plat predates the drainage criteria manual, then we'll have to find the previous version of the drainage criteria manual and verify what the requirements were at that time.
Okay, thank you. So, trying to think how to formulate this question. As it stands right now, it is in non-compliance. but it's kind of a limbo matter, really.
The non-compliance was when the owners did not turn it over to the city after a certain period of time. That does not make it a non-conforming.
Okay.
What you're used to hearing is a legal non-conformance.
Right.
That's not what we have here. It's just whenever they failed to turn it over to the city at the time according to the code, then that's where the non-compliance was. So at this time, it's a challenge to determine, you can either A, bring it into compliance. It's really a kind of a gray area, technicality, an administrative process that's not necessary. The board can deny it and say, no, you had a chance to turn it over to the city. You didn't take that chance, so we're not going to accept it.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I've got other questions I just won't get into. I think for me, I would agree with David. It comes down to if we're going to take it over, and I do appreciate you stating that you will relook at this as you make new changes to requirements, and that this will be tidied up and taken care of. My personal opinion is I don't think we should take it on, but if the board decides to, I too would like to see the developer or whoever is responsible at this time to go ahead and put a fence up. That should not be the city's responsibility to take care of.
Sure, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
And I would probably double check this with legal. I believe that we can make a requirement, since this is a resolution to accept property. I believe that prior to the purchase of that property, we can do conditions of approval. And if the city is not willing to take this property unless a fence is in place, and the ordinance requirement originally was not met, then they would have to meet the condition of approval before it could be signed over to the city. So I believe that we could make you could add to the conditions of approval that prior to the city accepting this property or this dedication, that a fence to meet our current ordinance requirements shall be constructed.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Mindy?
So I just need more clarification. So are you saying that typically, at least at the time this was done, developers would sign off detention ponds to the city, and we typically would accept that, but this time they just didn't do it in time?
That is correct. I believe they have a certain period of time to dedicate that to the city, and since that time lapsed,
And they
that's
would
why we're here
normally
today.
want to dedicate it so that they don't have to take care of it?
Not only, I wouldn't say that we want it, it's
No,
just.
that they would typically want to dedicate it to us so that then it's not their
Oh, yeah.
responsibility.
That's correct.
And so what we're saying is, well, I mean, what we could say is, well, you had your opportunity.
That is correct. And at this point, since the code was not followed in its original form, that this is just a remedy to try to somewhat bring it back into that original form, but it's not mandatory. We don't have to accept it.
And then if we did not accept it, would we have a say in the fence? If it wasn't part of the code at the time?
If it's a drainage easement, then we have the ability to do drainage improvements in a drainage easement. And I would state that safety can be considered a part of the facilities for maintenance. So we could potentially add safety features to protect the stormwater system as long as it's within a drainage easement. So you can do any type of drainage improvement within a drainage easement or a right-of-way. In this case, it would be, if it was dedicated as a drainage easement, we would have the ability to go in and add a fence if it wasn't required at the original time.
How?
Madam Mayor.
I think Brent has
real
something here,
quickly,
yes.
This is a dry reservoir, and our current drainage criteria manual that I have here does not specifically name fences. It just says proper safety. So we would need to, as Christopher pointed out, revise the ordinance accordingly with the drainage manual.
But could we apply a new ordinance to an old project?
You may not. Proper safety for a detention pond, I believe that's a dry detention pond, is to have a minimum of a 3-to-1 slope on the edge that's stabilized with grass.
That's
Brad?
Madam Mayor, I am digging through my cobwebs of my mind when this topic came up before with fencing, and it had to do with berm height, as he just stated. That's why I'm a fan of incorporating that, as we are doing with the PD, as part of a feature, because it's dry most of the time. But it did have to do with slope, and we have fenced some significant drainages with some, if a child got in there and there was water, there was no human, it would be extremely difficult for anybody to get out. And we've kind of gotten away from those. But having said that, I agree with Director Allen. I don't need any more information, and we don't need to take on anything else. I would use airport subdivision out there as an example. They have some very massive retention pond areas that they maintain, and the city doesn't maintain it. They take pride in that neighborhood. And to me, it would be the neighborhood taking pride in that dry retention pond and taking that burden away from us.
Unless they decided to put a chain link fence to protect the children in that neighborhood. Then I would say it's not going to be a burden that much if it's got a fence around it. But I know what Brad's talking about in terms of it still is a detention pond that can get water like what we've experienced recently with Saginaw Creek and everything. So it can become a water hazard. So that's why I say if they did put a fence, I'd be okay with it, just because I'm thinking of future resident safety more than anything. And I do appreciate what they did on those housing additions north of Kenwood. Those are professional. They have a locked gate. They're like 4 foot high. And
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Betsy.
Chris, just to clarify, and I probably misunderstood, if we don't take it on, we won't have any easement there, is that correct?
No, I'm unaware. I'm not sure if there was a drainage easement that was dedicated with this lot. Typically what happens is whenever a lot is not dedicated where they own it, then there's an underlying drainage easement that's a part of the plat. I would have to look at the final plat and see if that lot was also dedicated as a drainage easement. They may have dedicated it as a drainage easement with the anticipation that there was going to be a time frame before it would be dedicated to the city. If the city owns it, then we can do drainage improvements. And if there's a drainage easement, we can do drainage maintenance. If there's a private property, even if it's owned by a homeowners association, used for detention, if there's not a drainage easement, even if it's a utility easement, we cannot do drainage work on that property. We have to have a specific drainage easement because we have not declared stormwater as a utility.
Of course, I don't like the idea of the city having to take on another thing. My understanding from previous discussions is part of the problem is homeowners associations don't always handle things, and sometimes they go defunct, and then it becomes a mess. So if that happens, does the city what's the city's recourse? I mean, other than like fining them, I mean, to really make something happen if it becomes a problem?
Typically what happens in that case is if there's common property that's owned by a homeowners association and the homeowners association goes defunct, then the city can do an abatement and then charge a specific amount to each of the homeowners within that subdivision. That would be part of our an abatement process that would go through our legal department.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
And lastly, a key word, and I'm not going to go crazy about this, but what Chris just mentioned is looking out to the future, potentially in 26, stormwater as a utility. I think that's a future goal setting, but that's going to help us with some of these issues that we're talking about. Do it.
Anyone else?
that's very important.
If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address Resolution 40-25? There is not. So then I'm going to ask, because of the conversation that I've heard here and the desires that I've heard from some of our directors, what I'm going to include in the motion would be make a motion to approve Resolution 40-25 with listed conditions and additional condition of prior to acceptance by the city, a fence must be constructed around the detention pond. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion for that?
Do you have a motion already?
No, I'm
No.
asking for that now.
I'll
so-
make that motion.
So that motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and a second?
Is
Well-
that the best way to go, or should we table this until he comes back with some, I only say that because I don't think this has been a priority to get done since they've been so late. So it doesn't matter to me. Chris?
Madam Mayor, I would, if Director Allen would make that motion, I would second the table and bring the information back before we set conditions.
I'm just curious, based on what you just said, is it definitive enough on what kind of fence? I mean, he could build like a 2-foot thing and call it a fence. So that's my question. Are we controlling on, do we have some?
If the board wishes to table this, then we can bring back a resolution that would resolve the issues.
There you go.
Then I'll withdraw my motion, or who did somebody, or Betsy?
did.
Yeah,
I'll
so
withdraw.
I'll
Betsy
withdraw
withdrew
my
her second.
motion.
You'll
and I'll
withdraw your
Make a
first.
motion to.
Then we have a motion to table, okay? Till the next board meeting, November 4th, okay? Do I have a second for that? Brad seconded. Then roll call.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
I
Mindy.
have a question, though. I thought we had two issues, one the fencing and one whether we want to take this on as another thing to take care of.
And if you don't pass the resolution, then you don't accept it.
But the resolution
But the resolution,
with the
he's,
fix or
yes.
the option will be at the next board meeting.
Will be at the next
And
board
we can
meeting.
still vote no.
Still vote it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, roll call.
Burns.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion to table is approved. Thank you all very much. With that, we will move to the administrator's report. Christina?
So this week, expenditures in excess of $30,000 include the following. Streets paid Oakley Fertilizer, $36,250 for road salt treated with beet juice. The Police Department paid Axon Enterprises, $42,999.02 for annual service fees related to their tasers. Public Works paid $48,329.40 for smoke testing of our lines. And there were no expenses per Resolution 11-25. For announcements, just a couple. The city will be participating in the downtown trick or treat at Fire Station 2, and at City Hall, we will have a Wizard of Oz themed boardroom open on Friday, October 31st. Registration for Holly Jolly Christmas Home Decorating Competition opens November 3rd, and that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. So with that, we will move to our director's reports. First, I would like to say, I hope everyone has a safe Halloween as you're out trick-or-treating. Please watch for the kids because we know they're going to be out. So maybe slow down and take an extra few minutes getting around the neighborhood that evening. The other is thank you to our 4-H group who visited us tonight. I appreciate those kids and what they're doing and their representation of our city. They represent us well. So with that, I will move to the directors. Mindy, we will begin with you, and David, we will end with you.
Okay. Speaking of Halloween, I talk to more and more people who say they don't get very many trick-or-treaters at their homes anymore. And I wonder if a lot of that has to do with downtown trick-or-treating. And so I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for all those businesses to participate every year, because that is a safe environment. Kids get their pumpkins or whatever they're carrying to fill up with candy, filled up with candy, and so it's good for everybody. So thank you for those businesses. Thank you also for letting us know about the home decorating competition. Didn't really know where that stood, but I'm so glad that we're opening up the registration early. And I'm hoping that that does help with entries because people like to decorate by Thanksgiving. Of course, this year, I'm not sure what's going to happen with those of us who still have roofs to repair, how we're going to repair roofs and decorate with lights, but we'll figure that out. I'm not sure who provided this Connecting Housing and Transformative Solutions.
That was Brad.
Handout to us. Thank you, Brad. That is helpful information. NWA needs more than 170,000 homes by 2050 to account for the population growth. He may have in mind to share a little bit more about that, but I think it just is what it is. It's a fact. We're growing, and we're gonna and it's gonna cost some growing pains, but it's just gonna be part of our conversation and figure out how to handle it. So that's all I have to say about it.
Ken?
I don't think I've got anything tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Betsy?
Just the holidays and cold weather and things like that are around the corner. And we have some great services in Siloam with the Manna Center and Genesis House. So keep them in mind for donations for the holidays and for the cold weather coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Lisa?
I agree with Director Hunt, the registration for the Holly Jolly Christmas. And I appreciate Director Hunt even bringing that to Siloam, because she's the one that suggested it. But I do have a question. What are we doing for awards? How did we do that last year? Are we accepting donations for awards?
That is correct. We're accepting donations for awards.
Okay, and so I was wondering about that. Director Burns mentioned earlier, we're going to have a lot of conversations. We're going to have the budget. We're going to have hiring the city administrator. The rate study's coming up. Now we're discussing the quality of life. So on the rate study, I do have some questions that I want to ask publicly so that it's out there, that this is on top of my mind and what I'm considering when we're talking about the rate studies. Some of the things I am curious about is, what is the city doing financially to keep utility rates as low as possible? Are there services that cost more than the benefit they provide? Are we cutting waste and prioritizing essential needs like infrastructure? Are we making it a priority? And then how much do we write off each year in unpaid, and I don't want answers tonight. I'm just throwing these out there. And how much do we write off each year in unpaid utility bills? And I would like to see some hard facts on what we're writing off versus our community and why we're writing those off. Why are we having such large write-offs? And to be honest, whenever we have a write-off, it's the other citizens that are paying for it. The ones that don't pay for it, it's the other citizens that are paying for it. And so we need to start having conversations around these things, because we're saying we want to increase utility rates. Well, we already have a portion of people that can't even pay, so we have unpaid bills. But then not only are the people that do pay are getting those increased costs, but they're paying the unpaid portion, because the money has to come from somewhere to keep the lights on, as you may say, to keep everything going. And so as we go into these conversations, I would like to ask those types of questions. And just like on the quality of life, I would like more details. I'd like the history of what it was supposed to be for, and then why haven't we used the money, and what was we piling it up? But these are answers, these are questions that citizens deserve to know. If we're going to ask them to accept a 3/8 cents tax, if we're going to ask them to accept that we're going to do a rate increase, and while we're doing all this, I just want to make sure we have all the questions for the citizens out there and transparent. And so, sorry to pile it on you because, you know, you don't have enough to do with budget and everything, so let me throw some more on you. But I really do think it's important that we educate citizens and communicate with citizens and hear what they have to ask and just truly be transparent. And so if I could get some of those answers, I'd be greatly appreciated.
That it? All right. Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just looking forward to this fall season. I'm hoping it lasts more than a week before we get into the cold weather. I'm also looking forward to our many conversations that we will be having concerning budget, concerning sales tax, and all the other goodies we're getting ready to have good conversation about. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brad?
Madam Mayor, I'll be as quick as humanly possible. I did attend the cold weather meeting today, so did numerous staff. I think it's healthy conversation. It feels like, given a couple of cold weather, couple of years, it could be a long-term solution and really with an end game of actually helping displaced people transition back into the workforce, and so, or housing. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that, and we'll be excited. I did attend the Housing Summit, and I provided you, is this my original? Because I'm just filling the paperweight. I'm joking. And it's just, the Q&R, there was a great chat session where we did a work session where this came from, and they allowed me to take this, by the way. Interesting stats on what's really happening in Northwest Arkansas. And I'm really looking at large position. I'm just trying to find solutions and good conversation in that solution. But unfortunately, it's real solutions now. I am not a fan of urban sprawl, is the reason I attended. And what is the lessons we've learned from the corridor? Because they've already had some issues. And so I just want to reduce that issue that we may have if we continue to grow the way we're growing now. There is a smarter way to do that. It's better for the city economically and infrastructure-wise, and it requires the biggest change problem we have, which is change. And that was the discussion, the key word at the Quorum Court meeting with Benton and Washington County. And so in reducing that, I reviewed our Unified Development Code. And if you look at Article 4, zoning district regulations, it's going to require us to look at ourselves because we're going to have R5, RO, P-DL for planning development, UPD. All these things are going to be at our toolbox. But we have the ability to keep the character of the town. We also have the ability as a board to sit down and find 3 to 5 development designs that we like, and we can earmark that and fast track that and invite that kind of development here and get back to our architectural feel, get back to community planned neighborhoods. They're a little tighter than you think they are right now, but they used to be that way. Our legislators have passed it with the ADUs. I was happy to see us address modular homes in our UDC because a topic of conversation that came up for the ADUs. And so there's just a lot of, I think, exciting stuff, but you're going to be challenged by citizens that are very set in their way. But if 68% of the population in Northwest Arkansas is going to be single or couples, then that's just a different element. It takes time in my world to save up money. I lived in an apartment for years, I rented, and you can't buy a home like I bought from Jim Meeker moons ago. That picture's gone, but the reality is people have to work and save up longer and their lifestyle is more active. And so we just need to keep that in mind. So I was excited to attend that, and And I will end tonight with a little history lesson. At the KI Memorial up at Memorial Park, there's a young Marine, and tomorrow is October 23rd. In 1983, a Hezbollah affiliate rammed his yellow Mercedes stake bed truck through a chest-high wire concertina wire fence at Marine Barracks in Beirut, Lebanon, detonating a deadly payload, killing 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and 3 soldiers. To this day, that event remains the largest loss of life in the Marine Corps has suffered since the Battle of Iwo Jima in World War II. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to thank the 4-H group for coming tonight. It was amazing how many awards they had received as a group, and also include a grand champion in that. That is amazing. I'm excited about downtown trick-or-treating. At least historically, we've had between 3,000 and 5,000 children that go through downtown and trick-or-treat. It's in the afternoon, it's not late in the dark, and that 3,000 to 5,000, many of them are repeats. They'll come through a second and third time, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. It's keeping them busy, and it's keeping them loading up on lots of candy and keeping their parents awake all night. But we have a really good thing downtown, and I always appreciated it when I had a building downtown. I appreciate the 3 nonprofit groups reporting tonight. I'm really proud that they are honoring Maggie Smith. I knew Maggie. She was an amazing lady. She really loved our city. And in fact, I reference my HICO Heritage book she wrote all the time. She really put a great deal of work into that, and it's amazing that we still have that as a reference today. Of course, it came out in 1976, so Brad, it's due for an update if you want. The thing that I'm excited about, I want to read the Bill Simmons story, An Uncommon Common Man. I knew it was in the works. I didn't know it was out, so I'm excited to read that, and I was glad to hear about that from Mary. I just want to tell the board I appreciate being able to table the sales tax discussion for a workshop, to have at a workshop. That's where we're all working together for the same thing. And of course, it's working for the people, the citizens of Siloam, because it is their money. It's coming out of everything they buy. Of course, a lot of the big hullabaloo lately has been the headline about millions owed to our general fund from the utilities. And Christina, our interim city administrator, was interviewed and was on TV tonight. I'm going to go watch that when I get done here. And and they'll probably repeat it at 10 o'clock, I would imagine. Is it 4029? I think, channel 4029?
KNWA.
KNWA, whatever that one is. I think that's 4029. But I'm going to read an email that Christina sent me simply because I asked for a little more detail. And for the public that does not quite understand, this is not money that's lost or missing or anything else. I was on the board when we made this decision, but I'll just read this from Christina. Just after COVID, our inventory, including transformers and wire, was quoted as being a minimum of 2 years from order to receipt. The city had received plans for about 1,200 homes to be built. And in an effort to ensure that the city was able to provide services and have extra in case of an emergency like the tornado of 2019, the city purchased a significant amount of inventory, which it received during 2023 and 2024. This used all the cash from the utility fund and resulted in an amount due to the general fund of around $3 million. This is not debt, it's repayment that will be repayment. It is not due with interest, but or a specific period of time. But as the inventory is placed into service, meaning when houses are built, the inventory will be used by developers, then service fees are charged that will be used to reimburse the general fund. Basically, the utility fund borrowed cash from the general fund for inventory assets. And the reason we made that decision was because of the huge increase in all of those inventory items that were needed, and it didn't look like they were going to stop on going up. So we decided as a board to pull a trigger on buying some things to go into a warehouse for backup and for future development, and it was a wise decision. But as Christina finished up, she said, our total cash balance still meets the reserve requirements. As part of the rate study, this amount due is expected to be repaid in full in the next 5 years. So all of this money is the people's money. There is no money missing. It was account A and account B, and we took advantage and made a good deal on buying some equipment that was going to go up in price, and we locked it in at a lower price. So it was a smart move, and I just feel like there's been some misinformation out on the internet. Lo and behold, no one would guess that, right? And with the headline that says millions owed, it comes across as something untoward, and I don't like that. So thank you, Christina. You've, I'm sure, been taking the heat for this, and I appreciate you giving an interview to the news station to let them know what the facts are. So thank you. And Madam Mayor, I will just say lastly, I'm so thankful you're here. I'm thankful, yes, I believe in the power of prayer. And as I said at the last meeting, as much as you love the city, the citizens love you more. So thank you for being here, and we appreciate you. And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. We are adjourned.